Are you a current or future physician assistant wanting to learn more about finances? Then join me on this journey to become a PA the FI way. Hi, my name is Kat, and I'm a practicing certified physician assistant who will be your host. It took me 5 years after I started practicing medicine as a PA to thoroughly dive into my personal finances after I discovered the concept of financial independence. I want to use what I have learned to help you avoid some of the financial mistakes that I have made while sharing some of the financial wins that I have had along the way. Join me as we discuss financial strategies to guide you to becoming a physician assistant on the way to financial independence. Welcome back, everyone, to the PA the FI Way podcast. I'm your host, Kat, and I'm so excited to have another special guest joining us for the show today. Katie has actually been on the show back on episode 38 as well, so she's a return guest. We're so excited to have you back, Katie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. It is an honor. I love your podcast. I love what you're putting out into the world, so it is a pleasure to be here to talk with you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited to talk about your entrepreneurial endeavors, your journey as a PA, as well as your podcast. So for the listeners who aren't very familiar with you, could you tell a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I have been a PA for 13 to 14 years, and I've worked in all different kinds of specialties, but spent the bulk of my career in emergency medicine in addition to working at PA school. So as a PA faculty member, I've also dabbled in correctional medicine and aesthetics and functional medicine and multiple other specialties, which is one of my favorite things about being a PA. It's super unique about our profession. And about 6 to 7 years into being a PA, I started getting burnout and just kind of going through the motions. So I thought that, hey, I need more education. So I went back to school and I got my Doctor of Medical Science degree. And I was also working full-time both in academia and in the emergency department at that time. So once I graduated with my DMS, I definitely had some huge burnout. And at that point, I'd pretty much hit like the ceiling of my formal education, the ceiling of what I could make as a PA. I literally couldn't go, vertically any further. So I thought the next step would be to open up a business. And initially, I thought I was going to open up a med spa. And thank goodness that did not happen, because as my husband and I were going through the financing, COVID happened, and it would have been a financial nightmare to have opened up a brick and mortar right when COVID happened. So right at the beginning of COVID, I was still drawn to starting a business. So I started considering online businesses, and a coworker that I worked with, she is absolutely amazing. We have very similar backgrounds, and we decided to start a business that helps pre-PAs get into PA school. And fortunately, it took off right from the beginning. It was very successful, and she is an amazing partner. We have an incredible business still to this day, helping pre-PAs get into PA school. And from that, because that transformed my life so much, I have started a second business, and that is called Escape the Clinic. And that is where I show providers how to start their own online business so they can have the freedom and the wealth that comes with owning a business, and the choice on how much to work and if they even want to work.
Awesome. There's so much to unpack there, both as your journey as a PA, your burnout, your businesses, those types of things too. As a side note, I thought it was a little humorous, maybe reflecting back, you would agree that when you're burnt out, you decided to go back to school to help with your burnout.
Yes.
I keep thinking, I'm good right now. I don't feel like I want to go back to school for a long time. So good for you for doing that. And then, like you said, you tried all different specialties. You worked in academia, and that helped with launching the pre-PA clinic because you had a little bit of a insider perspective as faculty with helping the pre-PA students get accepted into PA school.
Yeah, we really have a unique perspective. And I think that is what sets us apart from other pre-PA mentors out there, is because we both have worked in academia for so long, and there's not really any other pre-PA mentorship out there that has that experience, both in didactic education at a PA school and clinical education as a PA school. We both sat on the admissions boards of the PA schools that we've worked at. And so it really gave us a really cool, unique insight and perspective to what PA schools are actually looking for, which is very different than when I was applying to PA school, 14, longer than that. So 15, 16 years ago now. And so demystifying the whole process. And it's so competitive these days. And I think that's very discouraging for pre-PAs. And it is their dream, right? To become a PA. I mean, I'm totally biased, and as I'm sure you are too, but we have literally the best career and profession in the entire world. And so they're so excited about it. But there's also a lot of competition, and the candidates who may have weaknesses or lower GPAs, they get really discouraged. And so it has been such a blessing and a joy to be able to help candidates who this is their dream to become a PA, to kind of demystify the whole process.
I love that. That's so great that you're able to help people fulfill their dream and get into PA school and try to be part of this career that we have. And with this episode, we wanted to focus a little bit more about your podcast called Escape the Clinic, as well as your new business. Could you tell us a little bit more about these?
Yeah. So with Pre-PA Clinic, starting an online business changed my life so much. I mean, it just transformed everything for me. It created so much freedom and wealth, and I'm able to make my own schedule. I'm able to work from anywhere in the world. I'm able to still serve, but in a different way. And there's no limit to who I can serve. So I'm not trading my time for, patients and the limited amount of appointment times we have, or my time for dollars. So it changed my life so much that I started Escape the Clinic, because I want PAs to know that there's another way than the way we've been likely conditioned to believe that is the only choice for us, which is, go to clinic and here's your schedule and you clock in and you do this for, 40, 50 years, whatever, and then retire and enjoy life. And there is such a different way. And you don't have to have business experience. It doesn't take a ton of time. It's not super hard. In fact, it's really, really fun when you combine your passions and your skill set and helping somebody overcome something that you've already made it to the other side to. It's like your perfect blend. It's your perfect business idea is what I like to call it. And so I'm so passionate about this because I want PAs and healthcare providers to know that there is another way for your life.
Awesome. And reflecting back to before you started Pre-PA Clinic and now Escape the Clinic, what were some of the things that happened in your life, or pivotal moments, or even thoughts and different types of mental things they had to think about before starting the business? Like, what gave you the courage to want to start, or what types of things happened that led up to this?
Yeah, so it was definitely a blend of things. And I think when your circumstances get so painful, that courage really comes in. And so I felt, and by pain, I meant I felt so stifled and like chained by my schedule and, trading time and hitting the ceiling as far as my career had gone. And I also felt called to something else, to something bigger and different. I wanted freedom over my schedule. I wanted freedom over my time. I didn't want to spend more time in clinic than with the people that I love. Like, I think that that's such a weird cultural thing that we have. And then along with this, I had several like back-to-back life-changing events that happened. So first, COVID happened, and like many, many other providers, I was furloughed. And at that time, I found my identity in my career. I've always been super career driven. And so when I lost my clinical position, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I literally did not know who I was. It was like having an identity crisis, because I knew myself at that time as Katie the PA. Like, I am loved for being a PA and being successful and having a career. And so that was really, really difficult. And I remember the day that I was furloughed from the ER, and I went outside and started gardening. And like, I'm not a gardener. My husband comes out, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I have no idea what to do with myself." And so that happened. And then immediately on the tail of that is my little sister, who had just graduated PA school as well. She was in a car accident and didn't make it. And that loss was so devastating and so abrupt that it really changed everything, honestly. I mean, that was pretty much the pivotal moment, because I realized at that time, like, how fragile life is, because it's so unnatural. One, that somebody younger than you should pass, and somebody healthy, you're everything is fine 1 second, and the very next second after that phone call, everything has changed. And, the carpet is swept out from underneath you. And so I realized how fragile, truly fragile life is. And I knew that I could never go back to the PA or to the person that I was before that had happened, being burned out and just grinding, not spending more time with my family. Like that was it. I was done. I call that part of my life before that loss is like zombie Katie, because I was just going through the motions. I was just in the rat race. And then immediately following that, I was fired from my academic position. And I have never been fired before, and never in a million years did I think that I would be fired for doing something good, right? One, be fired at all, but for two, doing something good. And the reason I was fired from my academic position was because I started pre-PA clinic. It was from starting that business. And mind you, there was nothing in the contract about that, but whatever. It was actually a blessing. It was such a blessing that God put in my lap, because that puts a fire under you, right? When something like that happens, like, wait a second, like I'm doing good here. Like I am helping other people achieve their dreams. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. And so I went all in into the business. And then of course, Escape the Clinic happened. So those were the pivotal moments that really changed everything for me.
Wow. Katie, you have been through so much for sure, and especially so much in such a short amount of time, back-to-back things that really are all life-changing within themselves, and the fact that they happen so close to each other. And you are definitely an example of absolute resilience and choosing to use the pain that you've been through for something good for others. So definitely commend you for all that.
Oh, thank you so much. That it has been such a hard journey, but I am faith-based, and I'm so grateful. Like looking back and just like when I tell my story to any time, God has always been so good to me, and he's always been there for me through all of those trials. And even though some of those things were never anything that I would pick for myself, like I know his plan is perfect. And so that was really helpful through all that. So all that to say, it's not me. It is definitely God through me.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. My husband and I are faith-based as well. And similar to you, we both lost our dads unexpectedly. And that was definitely life-changing for both of us. And we both recognize that life is so short. And that's also a fuel under us of why we don't want to work traditional careers for many, many years and be stuck in the rat race and try to pursue financial independence and have the option to be work optional sooner rather than later, and not save everything for one day, because someday really is today. So it's challenging, but yeah, you can definitely use some of that to live more fully going forward.
1,000%. And I'm sorry for your losses.
Yeah. And let's go back to when you started your businesses. That whole process can seem so tremendously overwhelming for people. I know it was for me, certainly. But reflecting back, what were some of the initial steps that really helped you to actually get started when you were in that feeling of overwhelm?
So I have a saying that my very first business mentor has passed to me that I tell everybody, and that is to do it messy. Like get out of your head about perfectionism, which is so hard because 99% of PAs, we don't like doing it messy. We like things to be perfect, but you've got to get out of there and just do it messy, because the people that you're going to help, they do not care if your website's perfect or if your podcast episode is perfect. What they care about is that you care about them and their problem and are able to help them overcome what they're trying to overcome. So do it messy. Do not get stuck in perfectionism, and take one step every single day, one messy step every single day. And that was so life-changing as far as the business goes, because I was able to get out of my own head and just make movement forward. And the other thing is to focus on serving your people, like giving them such huge value and impacting their lives more so than the money and all the like businessy type stuff. Because if you focus on serving with radical empathy and compassion and truly helping your people, giving them really valuable content, the money will come. The money's going to come later. That always follows. But you have to focus on the value and what you're giving to the people that you love to serve and helping them overcome what they're struggling with.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. Definitely can understand that so many PAs are on the type A perspective. So they like to be perfectionists, which can lead to procrastination and then can lead to analysis paralysis. And eventually you look back and you're like, oh, I haven't done anything. I've just been thinking about this for several weeks or several months. So that's excellent advice. And I'm curious, when you started these businesses, both at the beginning, but also now, what have you enjoyed the absolute most about having these businesses?
So I love being able to make decisions. So when you own a business, you are the decision maker, which is such a nice change from being a PA. So when you're a PA, you have your evidence-based medicine. This is how you work up a specific symptom. This is when you get a diagnosis, this is the treatment plan for it. It's very like black and white, and there's some wiggle room, of course, but it's pretty much like set in stone. When you own a business, you get to make the decisions. You can be as creative as you want. You can create new offers, your content on social media. I mean, it's endless. It's unlimited what you can create. And that's actually a good segue to the other thing I love, which is the creativity. I love being able to use that part of my brain that was so stifled in clinic. Like I'm able to be creative and, make designs and develop a course and whatever it is that I like feel called to do that can really help my clients. So I think that's so fun. And overall, there is nothing better than helping people achieve their dreams. There's nothing better than that. With Pre-PA Clinic, we help pre-PAs get into PA school, even if they have weaknesses. With Escape the Clinic, I help PAs and healthcare providers start their own business so they can have the freedom that I have found. And there's nothing better than, when somebody makes their very first sale and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is the start of everything. Or when a pre-PA who has a 2.8 GPA lands an interview and gets accepted to PA school. Like there's nothing better than helping somebody else achieve their calling.
I love that. Those are all really great benefits. Now, on the flip side of things, what are some of the toughest challenges with starting your businesses?
I am not a patient person. And I think that is something that I still struggle with to this day. In fact, when I run things by my husband, he's like, you've got to be patient. You've got to let God work because you're trying to push this thing. And so patience is really hard for me. I also, I don't really love the techie stuff. Like I don't love building a website and that sort of thing. And thankfully, there's so many platforms out there that help you do that. But it's not my favorite part because nothing actually really sends me. I'm pretty even keeled, but nothing sends me into a tizzy than when I get a notification like your website's down or whatever. So I don't love the techie stuff. And then one other thing that is a little bit challenging that you really have to have a lot of faith through is that when you own your own business, you don't have the security of a paycheck. And so sometimes that can be a little bit scary, especially if maybe you're not making the number of sales you wanted to make, or you put out an offer and it's kind of getting crickets and you thought it was going to be amazing. And so that can be a little bit scary because you don't have, that paycheck coming in every 2 weeks or every month. But knowing that when you do start your business and you validate your offer and you get going, that it's just a matter of rinsing and repeating and not looking at that as like a failure, but as, okay, how can I grow from this? What's off about it? Is it my copy? Is this like actually not what they want at all? And I need to tweak it a bit. And so that is a little bit scary, but there's definitely ways around that too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely have experienced all those challenges myself. So I can hear you and understand that there are some annoying things when you're doing this, but definitely the good outweighs the bad for a lot of this stuff.
Totally.
And in your second business with Escape the Clinic, you work with both PAs as well as other clinicians to help start their own businesses. Why do you think there should be more businesses out there that clinicians have started?
Clinicians are literally the best entrepreneurs. So at its core, business is about serving other people and helping them overcome a problem that you yourself have already overcome. And we literally do that all day long as PAs. Every single patient, you are helping somebody overcome a problem. You are serving with empathy and compassion. So you already have the skills. Like clinicians, they've already got the skills. All they have to do is funnel that into something that they're passionate about doing, that they can use their personal experiences and their skills with and kind of make that blend into their perfect business idea. So clinicians are like the best entrepreneurs because they've got it all going, right? They've been doing it forever. They do it all every day. And I also think that, as far as PAs who do not own their own practice, that, you hit that ceiling like I hit. And that frustrates me because I would love to see, so many more PAs and clinicians who are millionaires, right? And so PAs and clinicians are usually 99.9% really great people. And when you put more money into the hands of great people, great things can happen. And just think about the world that we could have if the PAs and the clinicians had their own business, they had more money, they never hit a ceiling in their income, because when you own a business, it is unlimited in the amount of money you can make, and putting more of that money into people who are already compassionate and empathetic. I mean, this world would be a different place. And so I think that they also make great entrepreneurs because they're just phenomenal people.
Yeah, it really is amazing when good people can build wealth and then they can choose to use that wealth for those causes that they want to use them for, or help the people that they want to help. And whether it's people as close as their family members or friends or their community and abroad, for sure.
Yes.
Building on that a little bit further, are there specific skills or characteristics that PAs and other healthcare providers have that tend to make them really good entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so we kind of touched on a few already: compassion and empathy for sure. And, just the love to help other people, but also resilience and grit, because having a business is not all unicorns and rainbows. And so you need to have that determination to push through when you hit plateaus, when you hit slumps, when you're not really sure which direction to go in next. And so again, PAs and clinicians, they have all of that. If you can make it through PA school or, whatever school your listeners have gone through to get to where they are today, then you can own a business. You've got the determination, you've got the resilience. So you definitely need a mix of all of that. You need to be gritty and you need to push through when things get difficult, to not throw in the towel just because you have a failure, but to be able to sit in a failure and not make it anything about you, but to just assess and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, and then move forward from there. And then, of course, also the compassion and the empathy for the people that you love to help them get to the other side of whatever they're struggling with.
Absolutely. That's all really great advice. And for those PAs and other healthcare providers out there that are really considering starting a business, again, maybe feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, or unsure of where they want to start, what is the biggest mindset shift that you feel like they need to make to be able to take the step to start their business?
That it's possible. And so I hear so many different things from people that I work with, and it revolves around experience, time, effort, and then who am I to do this? And as far as experience, time, and effort, you do not need business experience to start a business. That all that stuff comes. All you need to do is help somebody solve a problem. It doesn't take a ton of time. I started and still work on my business just maybe a few hours a day, if that. And it's not a ton of effort, especially if you're passionate about it, because when you're passionate about something, it doesn't feel like work. And so again, it doesn't take a ton of time. It doesn't take a ton of effort, and you don't have to have any business experience. And then also to really pay attention and analyze the thoughts that you speak to yourself. So what are you saying to yourself? Are you not good enough? Who am I to do this? I'm not an expert in it. All of those things. And then why you think that. Truly analyze the negative talk that you tell yourself, because 99% of the time it's lies, it's false, it's not true. And it is hard because even to this day, I bump up against imposter syndrome, and I really have to take a step back and say, why am I resisting this? What is it that's getting in the way here? And so that never ends. So the mind shift being paying attention to the thoughts that you have. And when you do have those thoughts of who am I to do this? A better question is, who am I not to do this?
Love that. Yeah, we help people in our wealth building community called Wealth RX. We work with PAs and try to get them to become PA millionaires. And honestly, the finances are rarely the issue. It's so often a mindset struggle. And there can be a lot of imposter syndrome and fear. And like you mentioned, those thoughts that we tell ourselves that truly are just thoughts. They are beliefs that you have, but they're not facts, right? So any of those thoughts that you have that you feel like are limiting you, you feel as though you're not good enough, you really need to analyze them. And like you said, reframe those thoughts to say, who am I not to do this versus who am I to do this? Because like you said, if you withhold that good, then you are preventing others from experiencing that and growing for themselves and helping themselves as well for the future. So you can't withhold the good that should be put out into the world from you because then others aren't benefiting from it.
Yeah, 1,000%. And it is so hard. Like the mind shift, the mindset, all of that, I think, is probably the most difficult part of owning a business. And I have heard it said that owning a business is the best therapy, personal help you'll ever get, because all of your stuff comes up. And it's so true. Like sometimes you'll have generational thoughts that are literally in your head from when you really analyze it, you're like, oh my gosh, my great grandfather struggled with this and passed this down throughout my entire lineage. And now it's on to me. And it's actually not something I really even believe. I don't even think that's true, but it's so ingrained in us. And so really paying attention to your mindset is absolutely key to growing a business and having a business.
Completely agree with that. And even with finances and saving and investing in those financial habits that you have, those thoughts are really from your childhood. So if you think back about what you learned about money when you were a kid from your parents or maybe your siblings, all sorts of layers to that, but it's really affects you as an adult. So if you try to reflect and think back to that and recognize that a lot of those underlying beliefs aren't true facts based on your life as an adult, then it can help you with taking the steps to change some of those thoughts too.
Yeah. And especially with money. So I bet you have your hands full.
Yeah. And I really like how working in mental health too, there's so much interplay with mental health and finances for sure, and entrepreneurship and all of that. So many layers to all of this. And it's definitely very interesting. And Katie, you are also a podcaster. You have your podcast that you started with Beth, the pre-PA clinic, as well as your recently newly launched podcast called Escape the Clinic. What do you love most about using podcasting as a business tool?
Podcasting is such a great platform. So I love it for multiple different reasons. The main ones being they provide such huge value for the people who need it most. And both of my ideal audiences for both of my businesses, they're super busy. And so they don't have time for 3-hour YouTube videos or whatever they're, or even 3-hour podcasts. So I love to be able to do really quick hits, really quick bites of really valuable information. And so once a week for the Escape the Clinic podcast, I just put out a really, really valuable tip. It's fast. They can listen to it, in between taking their kids to school or whatever. Same thing goes with Where the White Coats Come Off podcast. And then I also love it because with Escape the Clinic, I get to interview amazing PAs and healthcare providers such as yourself. Your podcast episode is coming out soon, which I'm so excited about. But it's such an honor to be able to provide a stage to show other people, listeners, what PAs are doing in the world, what clinicians are doing in the world, and the impact they're making. And it's just a gift. It's such a gift. And podcasting just makes it accessible to show what is possible for those who feel called to do more with their lives, who are burnt out, who feel stuck in their career. And so I love podcasting for that too, because it's a stage where I get to bring other people such as yourself in, and they can share their stories and their journey, which is just so powerful.
Yeah, Katie and I are doing a collaboration with our podcast. So she is on my show currently as you're listening, and I was on her show too. So go ahead and check out Escape the Clinic podcast and listen to that episode as well, along with all of her awesome interviews. But I completely agree. My favorite part about podcasting is having other PAs on my show and letting them share their stories and hearing all the amazing things that PAs are doing, because most of them are not stuck in a box and grinding away and feeling like they're stuck. They're actually doing all sorts of cool things. So it's really fun to share their stories on here.
Yeah, it is incredible what PAs are doing out in the world. I think every single PA is multi-passionate, which I think that just comes with the personality of a PA. We're just super passionate about multiple different things, and seeing PAs take all of that and put out this incredible stuff in the world. They're making such huge waves. And, I interviewed somebody on my podcast who is helping establish clinics in other countries. I mean, just amazing things that they're doing. So it's really cool to get their voice out there.
For sure. And since this is a financial podcast, I like to ask those on my show, when was the first time that you remember learning about the concept of financial independence? And then what did you seem to like about it? What drew you to it as well?
So it was probably a decade ago, and I want to say it was Mr. Money Mustache or Mr. Mustache Money, whatever it is. So I think that was the first time I had heard of it. And then of course, when you follow one, it leads to another, to another kind of thing. And what I love most about it is the freedom. Like, as I mentioned before, freedom is my thing. It's a huge thing for me. And so the freedom to be able to have financial independence gives you freedom of choice, right? It gives you freedom in your life so that if you want to work, you can. If you don't want to work, you don't have to. When you work, how often, where from, it just gives you so much opportunity.
Definitely. And it's important to recognize that there's way more than one type of freedom, as you touched on too. So there's financial freedom, there's time freedom, there's location freedom, there's all different types of freedoms that open up when you get your finances under control, when you invest your money. And then for those that want to start a business, those that actually take the steps to do so as well. And Katie, can you tell us a little bit more about Escape the Clinic and how the listeners could connect with you and potentially work with you if they're interested?
Yeah, absolutely. And I cannot wait to connect with everyone and show you how to start your own business if you so feel called. It really is absolutely life-changing. There's 2 ways to work with me. I have private coaching where I work one-on-one to start your business. And then I also have a course. So if you are more the self-paced type, you want some more time to go through things, then Escape the Clinic course is launching next month. And that is step-by-step guide to take you from creating your idea that's going to make you money and an impact, and then starting and growing that and getting your business out into the world so that you can have the freedom to choose whether or not you want to work, and financial independence and all of that.
So cool. I like how you have different options for those that are interested to be able to learn and grow their businesses as well. And where can the listeners connect with you on social, or how could they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So podcast is on all the platforms, and it's called Escape the Clinic. I'm on LinkedIn as Katie Bean, like a green bean or a jelly bean. My email is katie@escapetheclinic.com if you just want to reach out to me directly and chat with me and tell me all your ideas. I love that. Instagram is @Escape the Clinic. And then I also have something super fun for your listeners. So many of the people that I work with feel stuck on their thing and on their idea. They have no idea what idea they would have or what business topic that they would do. So I have a free download for your listeners. It's 3 steps to creating their business idea.
Awesome. Definitely check that out. I will include a link to that in the show notes, along with link for social media and all the things too. So make sure you check out the show notes for all that information. Katie, thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story and all the great work that you're doing.
Kat, thank you so much. I love what you're doing. I'm just going to echo that back to you. I love what you're putting out in the world. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you decide to continue to join me along this journey of becoming a PA the FI way. Please take a moment to press the subscribe button on the platform that you are listening to this on, but more importantly, consider sharing with another current or future PA that could benefit from the information that we reviewed in this episode. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Until next time.